Ladies and gentlemen, time to start. We have to be in time as perfect Toastmasters. Welcome to our meeting of the Toastbusters English Speaking Club of the Toastmasters International System. First of all, I would like to ask you, dear friends, in order not to distract all of us from our wonderful speeches and evaluations, feedback, improvisations, to switch off the sound of your mobile phone or put it into the flight mode. And I will do the same together with you right now. Thank you very much. Secondly, let me introduce myself. I'm the president of this club for this year, until June or the next year, Irina Suvorova. And I'm really glad to see all of you, because what does it mean for me? That all of us want to be the best speakers and the best leaders, as the main mission of the Toastmaster systems, all over the world, is to make every member the opportunity to have the stage, to go to the stage, to make a speech, to make a table topic speech, feedback, etc., and to grow up as professional speakers. Maybe during our preparation meeting you have seen some videos from our YouTube channel of the Toastmasters Moscow area, with the best speakers, foreign guests, which has visited our conferences in Moscow. And they are good examples of the personal growth and examples how we can develop myself to be more effective leaders and speakers. And now, dear guests, who visited our club the first time? Toastbusters Club. Great. Yes. Toastmasters, please have a seat. Dear guests, not have a seat, please. You are first time here?
This one, yeah.
Take the stage, and you, Francisca, and the girls, please. You are the first time too. Francisca, let's start with you. Two questions. Why are you here, and what are your expectations from the Toastmasters Club? And of course your name and the current position, what are you doing in your life?
Many questions. So hello, I'm Francisco. I'm originally from Chile. I joined Toastmasters in 2011 in Italy, and I was in UK, Germany, Chile. Now I'm exploring clubs here in Moscow. My expectation is to go back to Toastmasters because I took a lapse and I have to come back. It's like going to a gym. If you stop going to a gym, then it's time to go back, and also to Toastmasters.
It's time to work, Francisco. Thank you. What is your name?
Hello everybody, my name is Anna. I'm student of the Moscow State Technical University of Bauman, and I'm here to learn more about Toastmasters.
Thank you. I graduated from Bauman University also. Thank you. Good luck. Why are you here, please?
Hello, my name is Yulia, and I just want to improve my skills, maybe. Yes, and here I am.
It is the best place to improve your public speaking skills and improve your English. Thank you. And you?
Hi, my name's Steve. I'm from Australia. I'm here working in Moscow for World Health Organization and came here to practice public speaking, get more used to it because I have to do it for work.
We're all glad to see our foreign guests here. Very welcome. Thank you very much. Take your seats. And now it's time to continue to start our meeting with our main subject. And the main subject is about what? Our Toastmasters of the day will explain us. Kristina Sharekina, welcome.
Thank you, Irina. Hello everybody, one more time, and I welcome all of you here in this wonderful English-speaking club of Toastmasters in Moscow. And I will start with a little test for our audience. So today we are talking about motivation. And just imagine that you were assigned some kind of task at work. some kind of task that you are not passionate at all, that doesn't match to your inner desires, your wants, your necessities, your needs. The first situation. Whereas the second situation is that you have some kind of task, you are passionate about this task, you have your own needs, your inner needs to fulfill this task. So what kind of situation, what kind of scenario would you choose? The first one or the second one?
The second one.
Why?
It's easier
Good, and why it's easier?
because I don't have to make myself do anything. I'm naturally inclined to do the thing.
Exactly. And this is about the... we don't have a slide, but actually this is about motivation. And the theme of our today's meeting is... Could you please switch off your phone? I kindly ask you, we will wait for you, and you will switch off your phone, and then we will continue. Thank you. I hope that we won't have the fourth call, otherwise we have to make a pause in our meeting. So the theme of our today's meeting is motivation and the most effective instruments for motivation. When I was preparing myself for this meeting, I read a lot of interesting articles. Of course, there are many researchers on the theme of motivation. And it's not a surprise that having some kind of inner desire to fulfill something, to fulfill a task, to complete a task, is much easier comparing with the situation when you really don't want to do something. So, what does it actually mean? It means that motivation is a psychological process which is closely connected with our psychological processes inside of ourselves. And it's more likely that you will choose some kind of enjoyable and pleasant task which matches your own needs. It might be any kind of needs. I mean financial needs, psychological needs, but you will be much more effective in this kind of tasks. And when I asked the first member of my Toastmasters team, who is Irina Chernyaga, and she will be presenting the joke of the day. So when I asked her what is the word effective for her, she told me that to be effective means that your results are used by other people, and probably your results are even more effective for other people. And the second question I made her was about the burning out. I actually asked her whether she has ever experienced a burning out. And Irina is a very lucky woman because she told me that she likes her job so much that she has never ever experienced a burning out. So with great pleasure, I welcome our joke of the day.
It is not really a joke, it is a story. This story is a legend of our family. The newly married pair of my future father and mother invited guests for dinner. And my future mother cooked some borscht. It looked so fine, like in a picture. She filled the guests' plates and left the room to examine the second dish. Everything was all right, and she returned to the room. At last, she could have some rest and taste your work. Or better, the borscht was so over-salted. She looked around the room and saw the full plate except one. It was the plate of her fresh husband. He showed his respect and love for his young wife.
Thank you so much, Helena. And I'm mentally giving you my hand in order to say you thank you so much, as we usually do in Toastmasters. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, have you ever heard about emotional intelligence?
Yes.
And I think that looking at Lisa, it was like, yes, I have heard. Probably we are too overwhelmed with emotional intelligence. Nevertheless, it's one of the most important components of our everyday life. And who might guess that actually motivation, and to be more specific, self-motivation, is a very important component of the same emotional intelligence. The thing is that motivation is directly connected with our inner emotions, and actually it's our needs and our desires which provokes some kind of like appearance of our inner motivation. So motivation is directly related to the emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is about being able to manage your own emotions. It means to work in order to have this kind of motivation, because motivation, especially self-motivation, doesn't appear by itself. And moreover, we use our motivation, of course, to reach our own goals. And all the goals must be always on time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. It's like a tracking number of our projects which we have. So I would like to welcome a very important person of my Toastmasters team, who is called Timer. And when I asked Ivan, who will present in the role of Timer, the same question I asked Irina, he told me that the word effective means to produce enough value to solve problems, sell something, create something, etc. in a unit of time. Of course, he's a timer for our meeting. And when I also asked him about whether he has ever experienced the burning out, he told me that for founding job I like, and also have days off twice a year. And this is the thing, or these are the things which helps him not to experience the burning out. So let's welcome our Timer.
Dear Toastmasters, dear guests, as a timer, I will check your time of your speeches, and I will show you colors. And today, to be more effective, I will do it with special app in my tablet, and it will be green color when you have about 1 minute to the end. It will be yellow when you have about 30 seconds to the end, and red means that you're done and please finish your speech. And in the end of the meeting, I will present my result of my time checking, and we'll say who violated their time, and we'll congratulate others who was careful. Thank you.
Ivan? A bit of protocol sometimes is also quite useful. Guys, I want to ask you, do you think that you have this kind of self-inner motivation?
Yep.
Yeah. So, what is your name?
Alina.
Alina. Nice to meet you. Alina, so how would you describe this self-motivation you have inside?
If speak generally,
Yes, generally.
So self-motivated for me is everything. I wake up every day and I think that I want to live and I want to live successfully and I want to be happy and I want to meet my friends and my colleagues and I want to have a lot of things that make me
Feel happy.
feel happy.
Exactly, because I think that motivation is like happiness. Happiness is not the result. Motivation is not the result neither. It's the way to having something in our life. And here in Toastmasters, we always work on having this kind of inner motivation. And I'm pretty sure, being quite an experienced speaker and Toastmaster, that this kind of motivation is produced in yourself only and when you're trying to do something. Outside of Toastmasters and inside of Toastmasters, when you're preparing for conferences, for speeches, for anything. And again, we have to have some kind of track on everything we do in this life. Both in Toastmasters, yes, sometimes it happens, and outside the Toastmasters. And there is one very important thing for having this kind of more powerful, I would say, inner motivation. Is to have a track on our interesting. I think that she's teasing me now. To keep a track on our special sound that sometimes we produce during the speech. And without any further words, I would like to welcome here. Probably this wonderful animal would be chasing her, not me. I would like to welcome Ekaterina Kalugina, who is our egg counter for today. And when we asked Ekaterina about the meaning of the word, yes, please take the stage, about the meaning of the word effective, Ekaterina told us that it is the way to perform the most useful task in less time. And moreover, when we also asked her about the burning out, she revealed a little secret that every day she tried to take breaks every 45 minutes when she is fulfilling some tasks. So, Ekaterina, you're welcome.
Mr. Toastmaster, for group members and guests, ironically today, the role of a counter belongs to the person who is the master to use long pauses and unnecessary sounds in the speech, and it's me. I took the award of use the sounds almost every meeting, and I took this role consciously because I really want to kick the habit to use long pauses and unnecessary words, and I want to make my speech cleaner. I believe that these fillers reduce the quality and effectiveness of the communication because they disrupt the flow of the speech and they annoy listeners. Today I will be listening to you carefully, and I will track the number of unnecessary words, interjections, long pauses, and long pauses. For example, you know, well, and so on. I'll keep track the number of these words and sounds using my special counter tally sheet. At the end of the meeting, I will present you my report. Good luck for everyone.
So it means that every member of my team will be presenting a little inform in the end of our meeting in order to give us more work to motivate ourselves. And now let's dig a bit deeper into the meaning of the psychological side of the word motivation. I found a very interesting article which says the next thing. Motivation requires personal standards against which we evaluate our results. By making self-satisfaction conditional on a certain level of taken actions, we create self-inducements which persist till the result matches our internal standards. So basically it means that we should have some kind of personal things which will match the task. And in this case, we'll be feeling this kind of self-motivation and we'll have the best results ever. So believing that you can do everything, that your project will succeed, that you are the best in what you are doing, exactly, it will woo-woo, and I'm the best. And now, for being really the best, like the perfect, not only public speaking skills, in the area of our public speaking skills, but also with the English language, I would like to welcome one of the most probably important person for our English language, which is called the grammarian and word master. And when I asked Vitaly, who probably can be already approaching this stage, when I asked him about the word effective, he told me that reach the result with spending less energy and resources means to be effective. And regarding the second question, he told me that switch my thoughts a different direction and have a good rest if there is a chance will probably help us to avoid the burning out.
That was me, so smart, wow.
Please come to the center and you're welcome.
Thank you. Well, actually, guys, there's a good and bad news. The good news, I'll start with the bad news. I have the slightest idea on the English grammar. I'm so bad at that. I remember when I was in the 5th class, I stopped learning grammar, like, since past indefinite or so. But I'll make, I'll try myself doing the best thing ever to find something interesting, to get most interesting things out of your speeches in terms of grammar. Thank you.
Don't leave, please. I would like to give you... No, banana probably next time. If you just hold the banana, we'll talk about it during the pose.
I'll put 100 rubles there.
But I'm not paid here.
You?
Yes, I'm not paid.
Banana, not about you.
Good. That's, if you deserve banana, I will give it to you during the pose. And now I'm giving you the official blank of the grammarian.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Word of the
Vitaly.
day. Word of the day.
Ah,
The
Vitaly.
word of the day, by the way, it's
Yeah.
inspiration.
Exactly. Vitaly, and could you answer us the question, what is inspiration? For you, probably.
Joy. Joy.
Cool. Okay, joy. Guys, so just remember that we have to be inspired in order to be more motivated and to have the perfect results. And while Vitaly is writing the word of the day, I would like to remind you that here we are for becoming better every meeting, and here we are to present speeches, of course. That's why now we are approaching probably the most important part of the meeting, which is called the prepared speeches. So basically we do have some new people here, and especially for you, I would like to explain briefly what does it mean. It means that in the framework of Toastmasters, of our international organization, we do have a very high quality educational program which has this kind of digital platform where you can find the instructions for delivering projects. Every project has its objectives and goals that a speaker has to complete while he's presenting a project. You can choose any theme, though it might be motivation, for example, and present every project. So if we look into our agenda, does everybody have agenda?
Yeah.
Cool. So if we look into our agenda, we will see that our first speaker is called Alina Loginova, and she will be presenting the very first project, which is called the icebreaker, because obviously she will have to break the ice between herself and the audience. And the title of the speech is Words or Feelings? What is more important? So let's welcome Alina on the stage with her very first project.
Dear guests and dear Toastmasters, I'm Alina, and today is my first speech, and I'm new born Toastmasters International thanks to this club because I can be newborn the second time in my life. So yes, today I should tell you, I should share with you something that can describe myself. And when I was preparing to this speech, I asked myself, who am I? What can I tell you? What words should I use for your understanding who I am? And I have imagined that on the short meeting, and I have few minutes to describe myself and what should I say. Let's imagine with me, together with me. So, yes, I'm Alina, and I was born in Warsaw. It's a small city beyond the Arctic Circle, approximately 100 kilometers from Arctic Ocean, and at the same time 100 kilometers from Ural Mountains. And there we have really strong weather, and maybe my personality, like I have it now, it's from this weather and strong situation in our city. So, well, when I was finished school, I've got a chance to. I won the math Olympiad in our region, and I got a chance to graduate in Moscow State University, and I got it. So I choose to be a paleontologist, if you know what does it mean. And that time I was really a sporty girl, and I took part in a lot of competition from my university. I have a lot of medals, and at the same time I was dancing in a dance theater, like ballerina, and I was traveling a lot of towns with shows, and it was really interesting that time. At the same time I started to take part in IT industry, and my way in IT industry was begun from data entering clerk, and now I'm successful project manager in IT industry, and I work with a big project, with government, with important projects. So yes, a few years ago I graduated the second time. It was High School of Economics, and I use everything that I receive from that, what I get from that, yes. And I like running, and I like hiking, and if you want to take part in a marathon, ask me please. I want to do it with someone together. I think it will be great. So yeah, I have cards. I like to spend time with my friends, and at the same time I like to be alone because it depends on my mood. But what I like here, that every time when I came Toastmasters Club, I'm smiling and I'm happy because of this environment. Thank you Toastmasters Club for this. And that is not. I have few minutes, yeah. So yes, and I can ask you now, is that correct information to understand who I am? What I have told now. So yeah, this is correct information, correct facts to you can understand who I am in general. But is it correct information to understand my feelings, maybe my philosophy, maybe my soul? I don't know if I can speak so, yes? No, because we have less time to understand it, yes, to speak a lot. So if it's correct information to maybe that you will keep in your mind in future about me. No, because and everything else. Yeah, but
Very supportive.
but it speak about feelings. Feelings you will keep for maybe for ages, because feelings, it's not about words, it's not about you can tell to somebody, and it's everything, and it's what you feel, what you can see. It's consists of my dress and my voice, and my nervous to be here first time behind of you. Yeah, so yes, this is short frame that started to live in your heart after few words that I told at the beginning of this speech. So if ask me about what is more important, words or feelings, for me it's feelings, because feelings you can keep for many years in future. Maybe after 10 years in future you will see me on the international conference and you can say, oh, this is good girl, I know her. Maybe. But you can ask yourself, what is important for you? Thank you.
Alina, thank you so much for approaching firstly. And before you leave me, let's give a round of applause to Alina for her very Thank you, Alina. And I think that it's a very important moment when you really feel that you are here for the very first time. And though my first time was many, many years ago, I still remember it very well. And I remember that, for example, Denis Shevchuk was my first personal evaluator, and I was so afraid because I knew that he was very strict. But it's a great advantage to have a very strict and experienced personal evaluator. So, right after the speeches, in the end of the meeting, all of our speakers will be very well evaluated according to their objectives. And as for me, it's one of the greatest advantages of the Toastmasters organization. And let's go to the second speaker, and Lina Drost will be presenting her project number 6, which is about having the connection with your audience. And the title of her speech, yes, you can take the stage. And the title of her speech is Games of Fashion Industry.
Yeah, thank you. So, hello dear guests. I'm sorry I'm not a very well prepared speaker as usually, so I will use my notes. And yeah, clicker, yeah, amazing. What should I? This? Okay, amazing. So, fashion games. Once I mentioned that I was involved in the fashion industry, some of you guys told me to make a speech about it, so here I am, and that is what I'm doing right now. And today I'm gonna talk to you about the games that fashion industry plays with us and which role it actually takes in our lives. And first, I'd like to ask you a question. Who of you thinks that he or she had nothing to share with like fashion industry? That you are not involved with it at all? Great, I think even you will change your mind in the end of this presentation. So let's start. 3 people. I'm here for you. So clothes always took a very important part in our lives. It was always a symbol of your class, marital and social status, of the wealth, age, religion, origin, and so on. So it could tell a lot about its owner. And it actually still does, but in a new, very modern way. Now we have a very complicated system of the symbols, which called semiotics, and I will tell you about it a little bit later. So the question which we have actually in our head when we look at other person, it's like, is he my sort or is he out of my league? We even do it subconsciously, so we don't actually take it in our brain, but our brain does this job automatically. So when we meet someone new and we can recognize, like, can I communicate with this person or not? So what we wear, everything we use, everything we can show, it impacts on our recognition. So what is semiotics? Semiotics is a field of study of social science and signals. Oh my God. There are actually some people who make this job to make money and to help big brands to make money. If you will be interested in it, you can Google it because we have very few time. So the game number 1 is fashion makes you look better. Take a better place in hierarchy system and let it be recognized. How does it work? In old times, people from the high class went to the atelier or sewers like 2 times a year. It was in winter to order summer clothes and in summer to order winter clothes. People who was from the lower class, they usually made this job by themselves, so it was usually handmade, and it took very long time. So clothes was a privilege, fashion was a privilege. And the more you had, the richer you were. And everything what happened in the past, it reflects to our DNA memory. So we have this memory in our DNA that the more we have, the richer we are. Time passes, but nothing changed. We actually still want to look better than we are. We still want to be recognized as successful, rich people. So for different classes of society, it's very easy to recognize their mates just because the watches they wear or just because the watches they wear or the brands they use and so on. So the thing that you should remember is anything you choose impacts on the recognition. This is like in the very famous song, like you can deal with it or you can just forget it, but some of them, of fashion brands, want to use you, and some of them wants to be abused. So pros and cons, what you should do with this information, like from the positive side of this game, you can use it to your needs. You can shoot the better look, the better clothes, the better brands, and to make the better recognition, the better impact for other people. From the opposite side, from the negative side, fashion industry imposes us to buy something to look better than we are, cooler than we are, and sometimes it forces us. Sometimes it becomes a race. Like for example, iPhone. Do we actually buy iPhone because it is a smartphone? No, of course. We buy a status. I had an iPhone 6 before, but when I saw a new iPhone, I was like, okay, maybe I need it. And yeah, well, it's just because of status. We buy this to show that, okay, I can afford it. And it's okay, we can use it. If we do it consciously, we can use it to our needs, but don't let the industry force you to do that if you don't want to. So the game number 2 is the fashion race. Time is limit. In the past, it took a lot of time to create fabrics, to make clothes from it, and so on. So one piece of clothes was precious, and people actually didn't need much. For example, poor people, they could not wash their clothes for a very long time, and so on. And rich people, they normally had about 2 or 3 dresses for normal life. What happened? Sorry. Oh, thanks. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, here we are. But factory revolution came in the 20th century and changed the game. Big fashion brands started to create around 2 collections a year, then it changed again, 4 collections a year. Then factory revolution came and it became 6 collections a year, so fashion becomes more fast and fast. And in the end we had Zara revolution, which changed the game completely because they create new collections every 2 weeks, so the trends becomes faster. They played with our desires, and we always wanted to buy something new. And again, we have like pros and cons in this situation. Pros from this game is that fashion becomes affordable. We don't have to wait for years to wear something new, and concurrence. Because of the big concurrence, we have a very affordable prices to buy a t-shirt around $2 and so on. But from the other side, we have ecological problem because we have so much stuff that we cannot even buy it, and economical problem because big brands like Zara, like Inditex, like H&M, they produce their clothes in Bangladesh and very poor countries, which you should put in mind when you buy it. So I already saw that we don't have time, and I'm very sorry that I cannot finish this presentation. But what I'd like to finish and what to say you in the end, that before you buy something, just choose carefully. Ask yourself if the people who created these clothes were working in a good place, and how big damage for the nature was put when they produced these clothes. And the last question is, do I really need this? Thank you, and I'm very sorry.
Thank you very much for your project. So as for me, I'm a woman and I really like clothes, so probably I'm not such a going for the theory, but we all like something interesting in our life. And I think that one of the most interesting things in Toastmasters is to follow the development, the personal development of all our speakers. And probably before we continue, yes, we'll let you take the chair. He's a very important guy, by the way. He will be, I think, evaluating somebody, no?
Yes.
Good. So, dear friends, let's welcome the next speaker of today's evening. And if again we take a look into our agenda, we will see that now we will be welcoming Елизавета Чиркова with her project number 2, Evaluation and Feedback. The title of his speech is Perfectionism and or Effectiveness. So let's welcome Елизавета with her speech.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. One day I was sitting at the cafe with one guy. We were chatting over a cup of coffee and of course trying to impress each other. One time he was saying, you know, I'm a perfectionist. And he was saying it's like he was bragging. I felt a little bit confused. First of all, I didn't know that being perfectionist is such a thing that to brag about, right? On the other hand, I didn't know whether I should say me too, in order to connect, right? So, who are these people who are called perfectionists? First of all, when we call someone a perfectionist, usually it means that this person is very diligent, very thoughtful, very hardworking, and maybe even workaholic. So, probably it's a good thing. However, from psychological point of view, there is more to the story about perfectionism. Psychologists prove that actually perfectionism is about being self-accepted. People who try to be perfect, they not try to succeed because they like their activity. They try to succeed because they want to be accepted by society. Because if they think that if they not succeed, they will prove to be failures. This failure is going to be their personal defectiveness. That's why it leads them to escape difficulties, escape some situations when they can prove to be imperfect, like challenges. Also, it's very typical for perfectionists to procrastinate, because you know, if you try to do something and you have to do it perfect, you do understand how much pressure you put on your shoulders. Of course, you try to postpone this moment of dealing with the situation. Also, another thing, when you are a perfectionist, you try to make everything around you perfect. Also, other people. And when you ask someone to do something for you, you expect them to do it perfectly. So you become a little bit pushy, bossy, and a little bit demanding. In personal relationships, it's not a very good idea, and sometimes people really get scared away. So there is this perfectionistic paradox, because in order to get accepted, you try to be perfect and get to be, you appear to be too pushy, so you scared everyone away and you don't get your acceptance. From psychological point of view, it's not just, this trait does not appear by itself in people's mind. It's a result of childhood experience. During childhood, when you have pretty distant and demanding parents, you feel that maybe in order to be welcome in your family, you need to succeed every time. So you try very much in order to gain that love. So perfectionism is a result of not gaining this unconditional acceptance and love. So you bring all this baggage in your adulthood. So what can we do with it? First of all, the cure is being compassionate to yourself and to other people. For example, if you're dealing with perfectionists, if someone of your parents and family is perfectionist, you need to show that you love and respect them regardless of their achievements, regardless of their successes. Success, right? So in order to make them feel that they are worthwhile as a person, so as for what they are. As you feel that you maybe have some issues with perfectionism, probably it's a good idea, first of all, to accept this fact that maybe you need to change something in yourself, and also to be compassionate. You need to understand that actually there's no perfect things in the world. Of course, you're a person, and all persons are fallible. We do mistakes, and sometimes mistakes is a real good road to grow. Without mistakes, there is no personal growth at all. Also, I don't think it's really rational to care about people who are with you only because you are successful, right? Maybe if you make mistakes and they will go, maybe it's a good idea to show them the way, right? And to show them direction. We can go pretty much without their acceptance. Actually, you can deal without everyone's acceptance and you will be alright, you will survive. And if you don't survive, everyone will die eventually, so why bother, right? Sometimes you need to face reality. Of course, I do understand that what I'm talking is easier said than done. So it's very important to practice. First of all, it's important to keep yourself open to new experience, sometimes when you can prove to be imperfect. Also, even it can be a good idea to make intentional mistakes, just to see that you make mistake, nothing, you survive, nothing terrible happens, world doesn't collide or something. So personally, I think I'm not a perfectionist. Actually, I think there are mistakes that were to be done, and it's really cool. Also, there was a great phrase by a psychologist called Marshall Rosenberg, who said that the purpose of life is not to be perfect, it's to be progressively less stupid. That's why I think let's not try to be perfect, because it's ineffective and inhuman. Thank you for your attention. Блин.
Thank you, Elizaveta, so much, and especially thank you for such a creative ending line of your speech. Dear friends, we still have one more speech to be presented today. And I remember this woman when she just came to our club, and it was very interesting to observe the way she was developing herself. So with great pleasure, I would like to welcome Anna Ilyina with her speech number 9, which is about to persuade with power. And the title of her speech is "Do Not Doubt sort it out.
Good evening, dear Toastmasters and guests. And I would like to show you some picture. Isn't the view beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes, it's Moscow, one of the most beautiful, prosperous and modern cities. We've got Wi-Fi almost everywhere, even in the underground. We've got city bikes, car sharing and paid parking. We've got festivals all year round, festivals of different kinds. Do you think Moscow is a world-class city? Who can it be? Yes. If not but one thing, the disastrous waste management policy. Almost more than 90% of household waste go to landfills, and it stays there, rots and rusts, and contaminates the environment with poisonous gases and toxic materials. So, people who live in the Moscow area are suffering from this ecological catastrophe, and they are on constant riots, protesting against the landfills and incineration plants. So there is the decision to this problem is recycling, and many civilized countries has been successfully implementing this policy for years. And I might think that some foreigners look at us as at savages in this respect. So to start recycling, the first thing you should do is to sort the trash. And I can ask, is there anyone who does this? Sort the garbage? Okay, I'm proud of you. And I would like to ask those who hasn't started it yet, what are the reasons why you don't sort your garbage?
It's difficult.
Too lazy.
No, because we don't have
We don't have any
resources.
infrastructure.
Exactly, we don't have
Okay.
resources for that.
So the first excuse is that government doesn't support the idea and there are no plans. That's that's in some respect is true. The government policy is very slow, but I can say that this year the Moscow authorities adopted the trash reform, and they promised to install the separate bins besides every residential building in Moscow till the end of this year. So look at these separate bins near your home. And as for the plants, there are many, but they don't work at full capacity. They have to buy waste abroad for millions of dollars. The plants buy foreign waste to work. The other obstacle, we think that even if we separate it and the authorities will put everything in one truck and take it to a landfill. That is also true. But that means that at these landfills there are sorting stations where these poor people have to sort, I think for little money, have to sort our stinky trash. The difference is we can take 5 to 10% of useful fractions from this unsorted trash and up to 60% of the trash that was formerly separated by us. And another one, I have no place at home to store and collect the garbage. And my flat is too small. I recommend you to broaden your mind, to think that your home is not just your flat, it's your neighborhood, it's your city, it's the planet. So if you're keeping this in mind, you will definitely find a place and keep your home, take good care of your home. What do we have next? I will share my personal experience. I've been thinking about sorting the trash for years. And I can tell the truth, I started to do it just a month ago while preparing for this project. The first thing I divided it in 3 parts. First one is food leftovers and wet organic trash. Then paper and other dry stuff like plastic, metal and glass. in a week, I examined my trash bin and spent an evening on learning the recycling rules and all about the plastic. And to my surprise, I discovered that the only amount of trash can go to these separate bins. Just the most common plastic, like plastic bottles and cans, not everything. There is another kind of plastic that I have to collect and take to a special center. So I think I will do this once in 3 months. And also there is plastic that is not recycled in Russia. And these are all kind of meat packages, so, and chips packaging, or crisps, as you call them. So, what can I tell from this, what can I share from this experience? It was fun, it was easy, and I got some kind of moral satisfaction doing it. These links can help you to learn more, and what's the ending to the story? If all of you will sort the trash, we will reduce the total waste in half. So this is the first and the easiest steps to the better and more sustainable world. So I insist that you be more initiative. Don't wait for the authorities to force you to separate the trash, and become the inspiration for the changing of policy. So don't have any doubts and sort your garbage out.
But actually I need your hand. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anna. As for me, I always do it when I travel, because when you go to Europe, they always divide the garbage. And yes, it's a very good idea, and I was really very inspired by your project, so thank you so much. Dear Toastmasters and dear guests, now we are proceeding to the pause, to break of our meeting. But before we started, just a couple of words. First of all, as Toastmasters is an absolutely volunteering organization, I would like to highlight one more time that we are not paid here, but we still need some kind of financial resources to print the papers, to buy food, and to maintain our club. So we do have a special box here. Probably the president will help me. Where is it? Okay. So we do have a special box here where you can put 100 rubles. It's not obligatory, but it's the way to maintain the club and to keep with our meetings. The second thing is that, of course, you can enjoy all the food and water. And the third thing, and probably the most important, is that the evaluation of all the projects and the feedback is very important for all of our speakers. So if you do have something to say to them, just approach them during the break. Don't be afraid, because Toastmasters is a platform with a very friendly atmosphere. So these people really need your feedback. And now, let's take a break. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And now probably we're going to have one of the most interesting parts of our meetings. But before that, I would like to say a couple of words about the motivation also. So have you ever thought that the self-motivation has some kind of very special connection with self-discipline? Do you think so? Is it true?
Not necessarily.
No. What's your opinion?
I think Steve Jobs was not disciplined. He was some kind of hippie, but he loved the thing, followed the thing. I don't believe that. I don't believe
But don't you think that probably he had some kind of sequence of his ideas and steps to take?
To help you out, yes, he was disciplined, and he had
No,
the
no,
sequence
no.
of his ideas.
It's not the salary you help me. I'm asking you the question.
I think he had disciplined people in his team, but I think he wasn't that disciplined.
Okay, but probably we could have some kind of self-discipline instruments, and probably they are personal for everybody. So I just want to share with you one of the things. It's a very simple instrument, but at the same time very effective. And it's called the focusing question. So what is it? It's actually the question you are asking yourself, but it's very concrete. It might be broad, but it's very concrete, and it answers your own needs. And this is some kind of self-discipline which has some kind of connection with self-motivation, because when you already know how to take your steps and what will be your steps, you have this kind of inner self-motivation. As for me, it's my personal opinion. And probably in Toastmasters, though self-discipline might not be a part of self-motivation, but still in Toastmasters we do have some kind of self-discipline. Right, Alexander?
Right, Christina.
Of course. This is called self-discipline. So now I'd like to present you Alexander, who has this kind of self-discipline and who will be conducting so-called table topics session. Alexander, you're welcome, and please tell us, what is it?
Dear Christina, dear master and guests, before I start, can I ask you one question?
Oh, of course.
What do you, Christina, feel when you hear the word motivation?
What do I feel?
Yes, your feelings.
My feelings. Actually, I feel very inspired inside of me, because all the things I do in my life motivate me a lot to go further, to take more steps, and to achieve my goals.
Goals, steps, and also I would like to add regarding you personally, you inspire everything which is around you, yes? You inspire.
Probably.
Motivation not only goes to the goals, but inspire other people like you.
Yeah, because I feel this kind of self-satisfaction from inspiring other people.
And also I would like to add what Christina won't say not any way, because motivation is also how to survive. Because sometimes we need motivation to survive, in order not to lose what we have, and
Exactly.
motivation can be different. So today, thank you, Christina, I prepared for you some topics regarding motivation. There are different questions, situations, stupid, and maybe interesting, but it's table topics, the best table topics I think I found from Toastmasters regarding motivation. Old school, I would like you to use these papers, and I will invite 10 people, and we will speak regarding motivation. I will show your name on the board, and you will have to speak from 1 minute to 2 minutes to minutes 30 maximum, and timer will help you to be in time frames. And all of you have some ballots, papers with French words. Yes, my apologies, I brought from my club. And in the end of our session, you will have to vote for best table topic speaker. And also, I use old school, Irina use new school. You have some of you who have agenda as QR codes. You also can use it for watching, and at the end of our meeting, Mrs. President will advise who would be the winner. Okay, let's start, and I would like to invite newcomers, but maybe experienced guy will show us how to do it.
I'm a newcomer.
Newcomer?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
If you need experience one,
What is your name, please?
this one?
What's your name?
Vitaly, nice to meet you.
Vitaly, you can choose. It's not.
Ah, this is the papers, yeah? You arrived at the airport barely on time after dodging bad traffic and realized that you forgot your tickets. What would you do to get on a flight? My God, I made it so many times. Actually, I would start panicking right away. That's my initial reaction. You know, I'm trying to sort it out, to work out on that, but you know, I'm starting to panicking out like a monkey for the first 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm actually getting more inspired by me of getting the situation under control. How do I do that? I usually sing a song of Bob Marley, you know, singing "No worry about a thing," you know, this kind of things, and it really helps. It really helps. Or some kind of any other, you know, like positive things, like I'm positive or whatever is that, and then I'm getting into control of my emotions, and then I start out to sort out the things. And then the last time I did it, I just went back home. Yeah, I delayed. I actually didn't get my flight, just went on the next day. So things like that. Just guys, like, you know, take care of yourself. I mean, no panic. That's the most important thing. That's it. That's the most meaningful part of my speech on the question.
Thank you, Vitaly.
Thank you.
Around.
Thank you.
Your name?
Allah.
Allah.
What's a quick decision you once made that changed your life? Oh, very interesting question about quick decision. I think my quickest decision was to accept the proposal I got from the person whom I liked very much, and I felt the same on his part. And we married and spent 22 years of very happy life till his untimely death 3 years ago. And that was my quick decision, and I was never sorry about it.
I would like to see newcomers here. Who else? Spanish guy, maybe, yes? Spanish guy. Let's take this.
So, what can you do today that you were not capable of a year ago? So, what has changed from 1 year ago? So, actually, I'm reading a book that is changing my life. I have this is unbelievable. It's called The Willpower Instinct, which is basically how you can control yourself. And it's done by a PhD in psychology, and it's so good because it's like it starts with the typical theory, and then it tells you like real good tips on how you can go to sleep early, how you can. People are addicted to Facebook, to WhatsApp, like Christina, etc. I'm joking, sorry. And then how you can really change it. So now, started 1 month ago. I stopped eating chocolates. I started going to bed like 2 hours earlier. I started eating healthy, and I'm super excited because probably this is going to be about this my next speech, but it is 4 years, so probably I'm going to change it. But if you struggle with something, remember The Willpower Instinct, best book in life. Спасибо.
I see a beautiful girl hiding in the. What is your name, please?
Evelyn.
Evelyn. Choose.
What's the most sensible thing you ever heard someone say to me, or
Maybe today, Christina, somebody else who said something sensible to you or to everybody. You can share with us by your inspiration, emotions, something like that.
well, so no risk. Sorry. It will be it is my granny maybe who always say sensible things to me, but not that they make me unhappy, but they in other words, they inspire me to work on myself, to do better job, and I think it's very important to have such people in your life who can motivate you and be maybe even the aim of your life. How should the presentation get me?
Good. Presentation.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. That's it. Who else? Maxim will speak a bit later, I suppose.
Maxim?
Denis. Let's go, Denis.
What's the most
Sure.
Evelyn has already done it.
Yes.
You pretend to be a president of your club for next TM year. Tell us why you should.
Not political.
Tell us why you should be elected to this position.
Motivation.
Inspiration, motivation.
Frankly, I don't want to be a president of Toastmaster Club. It's difficult. Why? I want to provide inspiration for you people. The plan is to become a president, to inspire people, shift the responsibility to a dumb person, and move into shadows. Vote for me. I have experience. I'm a father. Oh, I'm almost the president of my house. Vice president at the worst. My wife, my child, myself. Right? The third in the layer. I'm really experienced. I deal with the trash. Not separated, but I deal with the trash. I earn money for the family. I'm a good provider. Sometimes I come to Toastmaster meetings. Sometimes, and that's it. That's my life. But I can be a good president. Do you believe in me, Francesca? Francesca believes in me. Sees me for the first time, and I already inspired him. I see in the eyes of the Evelyn, she already admires me. So vote for me, people. I'll be a good president for a month or so, and I'll find you a better president after that time. Thank you very much.
Maybe you? Let's try. Please remind me your name. Steve.
What do you do to deliberately impress others? Deliberately impress others. Actually, I don't really do a lot to deliberately impress others. I don't really like being the center of attention. It makes me quite uncomfortable. That's why I'm here, to kind of get used to it. Because at my work, a lot of people are trying to impress others all the time and make themselves stand out. So because I don't do that, it kind of holds me back a little bit, I think. So coming here and doing things like this, I need to get better so I can do that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Christina, I suppose a little bit later, because let's give a chance to other people to talk in front of audience. I would like to see you. What is your name, please? Mikhail, please. Take.
I will take big one. You are in an airplane which has problems with the engine, and it's obvious that it's about to come down. Unfortunately, there is only one parachute on board. Your task is to convince other passengers to allow you to take this parachute. Oh, guys. I mean, like, I'm not sure I could do it, really. It's true.
Try.
Need
Ah,
inspiration.
Like, it's a difficult situation. I mean, I don't see any reason to do it, really. I mean, like, I will vote for that lottery.
Lottery?
Yeah.
And there are
Yeah.
time.
Fast lottery.
Maybe 10 seconds we will, in 10 seconds we will have to choose who will get the parachute.
So it's like I will give it to like you guys.
To some lady.
Yeah.
Remember what Bruce Willis made in the movies now. That's it. Do the same thing. Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
I don't know.
He dropped somebody.
Yeah, just do the same thing. Whatever he was doing all the time, like saving the world or whatever in the planes or whatever else. Do the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Hero, my child.
Yeah. So we have a chance.
Thank you very much. Mrs. President doesn't speak a lot today, please.
Sure.
Take care.
Oh, other than money, what else have you gained from your current job? From my current job in Toastmasters?
Oh, if Toastmasters a job for you, for me it's joy.
For me it is a job. Yeah. Actually, 3 years ago I have visited Toastbusters Club the first time and felt in love to this place. After that I started actually to visit another club, Toastmasters in Russian, because it was easier for me. But I have learned how to speak in public, how to motivate, inspire people, and how to be with my nervous, because we are all nervous before taking the stage. And money, I have earned money on my current job in sales because of the Toastmasters, and I have earned money by several public speaks, so that's why I consider that Toastmasters is like my second job. And what else? I have got wonderful friends, I have met wonderful people, very interesting, and this is for me, this is very important. This is the most important rather than money. I love all my Toastmasters friends, and I hope that I will meet more wonderful, more interesting people in the other clubs and other clubs abroad and in the future in Moscow. Join me. Thank you.
Thank you for your icebreaker, and looking forward to hearing your second project on Friday in our French club. Anna will speak now.
The best thing about the person sitting in front of you.
Choose one.
The best thing. I have to tell about the best thing.
About person sitting in front of you.
Go.
And 2 minutes, please. Impress some.
Actually, not a lot of people, not a lot of members of your club I know actually, but in person, you know Anna. And we spent 4 hours together. It was unforgettable because Anna, every time she has the best thing in her is that she is every time relaxed. Whatever happened, whatever. So she gave impression like she did nothing, and she does nothing, and she every time she inspired that you are here because okay, she does nothing, and she just so interesting person. She liked that you share something with her, and I really appreciate because I have an impression that she gives me place when I'm with her. I have a space
to be myself, to speak whatever I want, and it's really very, I don't know, I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for these 4 hours of your day.
I also like Anna very much. And last but not the least, Sergey Saprikin, yes? Yes.
What is your #1 goal for the next 6 months? Well, since we're in Toastmaster Lab, I'll talk about a Toastmaster goal. What I want to do within the next 6 months, and sooner if I am lucky, is to establish a Toastmasters club at my workplace. Some of you have already been there, some of the members of the audience. Till now I haven't been successful with 2 meetings to ignite, to inspire the people there to actually commit full-time to being members of the club, coming there every 2 weeks. I still think I got a chance. And what I would suggest to many of you, actually to all of you who work in a place, and I don't mean a company, it can be like a business center, just where at least 200 people are in the same place, you have a chance to establish a Toastmasters club. Why is it a good idea? Even if it doesn't work out, like in my example so far it hasn't worked out. It allows you to try on a big project. It allows you to increase your own visibility within the organization. Like because of my initiative, I got to talk with vice presidents of my company. I went around, I talked to them. And yes, there is a little self-interest in this too. They might not have approved of it 100%, but they remember me as the guy who wants to do something, which is always a good idea, especially if you work in a big company. And when I meet somebody in the hall, in the car, I say, you're that guy who wants to make a club. So I'm kind of famous in my own company now because of my attempts to start a Toastmasters club. And I personally think it brings a great deal of benefits to organizations, and a huge number of international organizations, they have corporate Toastmasters clubs. It hasn't caught up in Russia yet. We haven't caught on to this trend. But I believe it's a very cost-effective way compared to the hundreds of millions companies waste on different trainings and seminars, which cost many times more and give only a fraction of the benefit. So I think if you frame your arguments right, and if you're more lucky than I have been so far, you have a good shot making a club in your organization, your co-working, your business center, whatever. So try that. Make that your Toastmasters goal for the next 6 months.
I wish you good luck. I visited your club and I will visit again, I hope. Okay, guys, I sorted out all the table topics and we use all 10. So please now vote for the best speaker. It was Vitaly with tickets, Sala decision, Francisco, who was Evelyn with sense, Dennis president, Steve with impress, Michael with parachute, Irina with job, Anna best thing, and Sergey goal for 6 months. So I would like to finish. Thank you very much.
Who collects them?
I will collect during the meeting.
And I will be the first one to give
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so
Christine.
much. But, okay. Okay, go. No, I was actually thinking that I will need help of several people right now. Firstly, as today we were talking about motivation, I have some tips for you and some very interesting cases to take into account right after the meeting. And for that, probably I would like to ask our timer to help me and to distribute it among our guests. And then I also would like to ask Mrs. President to help me. Irina, please take the stage. Take these papers, just have them, no, all of them, and just stay. So guys, summing today's meeting. The motivation is a process, and motivation is a thing that we must work on because it will never ever appear by itself. And here, in this wonderful hands of Mrs. President, we do have 4 components of having this kind of motivation. Irina, let's start with the first component. What is it?
Initiative.
Initiative. To be initiative. The second one. Just show to people.
Commitment.
Commitment to what you are doing.
Achievement drive.
Achievement drive to continue what you are doing.
And optimism.
And optimism. So dear friends, remember, Irina and me are having in our hands 4 components of being successful. Don't lose these components. Be successful. Be motivational. And Irina, I think that we can give all these 4 components to the next person who will take the stage.
Let me take pictures.
And it will be our general evaluator who will be both motivational and quite strict because she will evaluate the whole meeting. Thank you so much, Alexander. And Irina, let's welcome, no, don't leave me please. Let's welcome together the general evaluator of the meeting, Tatiana Gladisheva, and together with the president to give you these 4 components and keep on rocking the stage.
Thank you, Christina. I'm a general evaluator tonight, and I'm supposed to start with my observation of the room. I really like the room. It's good. Location is within walking distance to my office. This is the most important. There are 2 things I did like: the flying insects, and I think it's a little bit too hot in here in the room. Next, I'm supposed to evaluate Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster, Christina. Christina is one of the most ambitious and motivated person I know, and she has a lot of integrity. So when I found out about the topic of the meeting, I wasn't surprised much, but actually, honestly, I was surprised with the presentation, so it exceeded my expectations a lot. Beautiful look, thorough preparation, structured, educative. Even at the end, it looked like a workshop. So everything is perfect. The only drawback I would suggest you, in between presentations, your monologues were too long from my perspective, so I noticed some people lost in attention, focus, and so if you can do it a little bit less, I think that would be better, but everything else is just perfect. And I have a very strong evaluation team for you guys, you're going to be surprised. So let me invite one of the best evaluators of Moscow area, Denis Shevchuk. How many awards do you have, Denis, as evaluator?
Several.
Can you count? Okay, watch
Several.
this.
Future president.
We have different kinds of speakers. We have speakers who've been doing it for some time. We have people who do it for the first time. And usually when we evaluate a person who does it for the first time, we are real kind to the person. So sorry for being kind today. Now, Alina, does anyone remember anything about Alina?
Yes, and
Project manager.
Project
Paleontologist.
Paleontologist.
Yes.
She's from
High
Washington.
school. High School of Economics.
Marathon.
High School of
And
Economics.
dancing.
Everybody remembers what we're talking about. It is a success in itself.
IT industry.
IT industry, project manager. Good job, good job. Meaning that you didn't just spend time here droning so people fall asleep. You managed to speak to people, made them interested in what you were speaking about, and made them even remember some facts. Good job to you. You had your cards in your hand, which is a better version of notes, because sometimes people have the notes, they fumble, they read from the notes. It's not interesting to listen to, and feels a little disrespectful even. But cards is a little more professional way, which is even better. You didn't almost watch your cards. It felt like, have you watched the Dumbo cartoon, movie cartoon?
No.
No? There was a big elephant baby with the big ears, and he flew around with, and some crows gave him a feather and told him it's a magic feather, he was able to fly without the feather. That's what it felt. Your cardinals felt like a magic feather. You didn't need them today. Good job, good preparation. Almost didn't use your cards and make people interested in your speech. Can I tell something positive about your speech besides that? No. It was a good job. It was a good job. Was it a perfect speech? No. It was a decent first-time speech. So my personal recommendation for you is continue delivering speeches. In your next speeches, we will give you constructive criticism about several feedback, several weak points you have, you naturally have. Was it an extraordinary icebreaker? No, but it was a good icebreaker. Congratulations. Continue.
I think you are one of the most motivated icebreakers I ever heard from I can tell that from your story. Denise, good evaluation, but I heard better from you, so work on that. Next evaluator of Lead and Roast, Anna Ponomaryova, please welcome.
First of all, thank you very much for very, very good speech. What was very good in your speech? Your presentation. You spent a lot of time to prepare it for us, and it was very interesting, informative topic, really. And the structure of the two games, different points, it was very, very good done. Again, you have two times some technical problems, and you were so charismatic to solve it. It was very, very interesting. So you had a question for your audience. The audience, it was good as well. And you were very self-confident. I would say, what I wouldn't say you that, what can you make better in your presentation? Actually, first thing, very, very important. I'm really begging you to be attentive for criteria of your speeches, of your project, description of your project. Because when I approached to you, what is project, so there you said, criteria? Never heard. It was, I was surprised. And actually, if you will change this attitude to description of your project, you will change everything. First of all, your goal for today is connect with your audience. We all are your audience. And actually, if we would be your audience, you will change. First thing, this is your paper. Your folder, actually, it was really big folder with, which impression I have from my place when you have a folder. I have a barrier, I have the wall between us. And if I'm yours, I'm your audience, you will lay it down and you will speak with me without no paper. This is the first thing. Second thing, this was your position. If I'm yours audience, you will be not here, but somewhere here, because this part of audience is not yours. Because you are here, and you are talking with your folder. It was very interesting because you are so attractive, good looking, smart girl, and it was interesting to observe you, even if you are here, actually, it doesn't matter. But if we are yours, you can take everybody, you can inspire us because your topic was, again, really interesting. And the last thing that you can change, actually, the topic, which was very interesting, but again, if we are yours, you can feel your emotions, you can feel your feelings with us, and we will be really your audience. I wish you to continue to make your 7th project with very, very big attention for description, and good luck. I was very impressed by this information, by your presentation, by your good looking. Actually, I think you work with mode or something like that, or actually you know this topic, and yeah, that's it.
I don't have much to add. Perfect, I think perfect evaluation. You mentioned all the things. Lina, one thing I would like to add. Very interesting topic, but I felt it unfinished For example, that very noticeable thing for me was when you mentioned that why poor countries using labor is placed in the poor countries, and it was considered as a bad thing, and I didn't get it. Why was it bad thing? Why is it bad thing to give them a chance to make?
I have not enough time to continue because actually I have not 2 games, but it's actually 3 games. And if you're interested about this topic, you can watch a movie that's called Fast Fashion that will answers to your question.
So see, not only we had a feeling that it wasn't finished like perfectly structured. Thank you very much. Work on that. I want to hear more about that industry. So, and now I would like to invite here Irina Suvorova, evaluator of Elizaveta Cherkova.
Yes, dear Lisa. Thank you for such interesting story. Firstly, I consider that this story will be about you and this guy that you have met in cafe. Romantic story about how perfect he was, and that's why you fall in love, etc., etc. But it was better. It was very interesting and useful psychology story about our behavior. Very useful tips and inspirational speech and main deep thought. Be yourself and not to try to be perfect. What I like else in your speech? Your eye contact, your rich gestures, your comfort level with the audience. All audience was yours, for my opinion. Your good level of language and positive style. What I recommend you second time to be more relaxed. You felt nervous, isn't it? Little bit. You will often feel nervous, even in 1, 2, 3, 10 years on the stage. It's a good sign, but you just have to feel this emotion and live with it. And now you moved on the stage, it's good, but you moved with such a small steps as a angry lion, you know, in the cell in the zoo. Just keep your attention on this movement. Just breathe the next time and move more slowly. And my second advice is about the same actually, about your pace, your speech pace. For me, it was sometimes a little bit fast, and for better understanding, you have very clear thoughts, and you can just mark it by your voice and by pauses. Because it's most important not to say more words in your speech in the 7 minutes which you have, but making your message unforgettable for all of us. And to be unforgettable as you were, I would like to finish with your own phrase, which given me an inspiration today. Be yourself, be unperfect, Lynn.
Great evaluation, thank you. Lisa, can I add something? Irina gave a wonderful evaluation. There is one thing, you started your story with scene with the cafe. You were sitting with the guy, but you never get back to that. So what was the end? Remember Chekhov said, if you see a hanging gun on the wall on the first chapter, it has to shoot in the second chapter. So the things have to be connected somehow. So if you get back to that story and connect it to your idea, that would be better, I think. Thank you. But very good listenable story, very good listenable project. Thank you very much. Now let me invite here the master of evaluation, Sergei Saprikin.
Thank you. So guys, dear fellow Toastmasters, who here does not sort out the trash? Come on, let's be honest. Who decided to sort the trash after they heard Anna's speech? Come on, let's show some respect. Okay. That is a sign that a persuasive speech was a success. So you managed to take some people who didn't do something before to at least consider doing something afterwards. as I personally think that persuasive speeches are some of the hardest in Toastmasters, probably tied for the top spot with inspirational speeches. So it's not easy to do well, and especially it is harder for some people than for others. So knowing Anna, I would say that this was a tough project for her, and this was a real achievement. Doing the speech she did, and I would first of all like to praise her for the effort. Now, persuading isn't simple. It is being taught in countless salesman workshops. There are specific steps. And in Toastmasters as well, I'd like to follow up with what Anna said earlier. Everybody please pay attention to your objectives. Like when you do a project, you have specific things you have to do. Just like here, Anna had a number of check boxes she had to meet in order to persuade us of something. And I'll give a brief overview of what I think she did well and she might have done better. So, the choice of the topic. I think that was a really good thing because if you look at statistics, most people, unlike Toastmasters obviously, but most people in Russia, they do not sort out their trash. So it is really easy. You have an audience which does not hold that position initially. You can be sure that they don't do that. It's good. It's also a very up-to-date thing that people care about. So this is an emotional subject where you can really have a discussion. It's also great. I loved how you captured the audience's attention with your slides from the beginning. At the build-up, you did some creative visualizing of those savages on the dump. That was really good. I also liked your sincerity. That is not specific to persuasive speeches. Whenever you're on stage, you feel sincere, so that we want to believe you. I like how you use the sources and the numbers to give some appearance of authority, to give credence to things that you're trying to persuade people to do. However, there are certainly things you could have done better. Like the title of the project is called Persuade with Power. Now, power is a tricky thing. Unless you're a Jedi and you can just say, these aren't the droids you're looking for. You have to be a little bit more emphatic. When you persuade with power, you have to be like in the people's faces. You have to really get into their minds and souls and persuade them. This is something I missed in your presentation. It was a bit laid back. It was a bit relaxed. That's not powerful persuasion, okay? What I would love to see is more of an appeal to the emotions. Like you had some of it. You don't want to be savages. But that was just like the icing on the cake. That was just a small part of your presentation. I believe it should be a much bigger part. What's more, when you appeal to the emotions, and specifically there is such a point in the project's description, to persuade people you have to appeal to their self-interest. This is also something that was missing. You use the technique which is commonly known as shaming. That, you don't want to be savages, right? Well, this isn't so effective as a bit of a more positive motivation. It would be better to find something really great about recycling. Like you mentioned how good it made you feel. You should have focused more on that. Describe more like recycling. I feel like queen of the world, and how, there was a dump and now there is like a beautiful place in front of your house. Maybe make up some story, but use it as a strong emotional appeal to the people. And don't make it sound too difficult, because when you started talking about how you spent an evening trying out how you sort that trash, that wasn't inspiring. People would think, I don't want to do that. More on a positive note. And so I loved how you worked with the audience and you collected the answers, but it felt a little bit half done. Like you asked it once, then you didn't quite follow through. Some of the later objections, you just pulled them out of your head. You didn't address what the people were saying. So that is also something you could have done better. Still, overall, as I said, I really liked that speech. It was maybe not so persuasive, but it was inspirational. And that's the topic of today's meeting, so obviously. That was a success. And the final thing, which I really loved, is an example of how Toastmasters makes us better. Remember how Anna said that In preparation for this project, she actually started sorting the trash herself. It's a really great example of what Toastmasters does to our life. Thank you for that. Thank you for more projects.
Thank you very much, Sergey. I have nothing to add except for watch for timing. Wonderful, wonderful. And I like your project. I have no comments, seriously, even though Sergey said a lot. Especially Sergey said a lot. Okay, now I have to evaluate table topic master who has already left, unfortunately. But since he's left, I'm going to reveal a small secret. I know some guys, most of the guys in the room going to hate me, and even more they're going to hate Alexander, but since he left, I'm going to do that. I came a little bit early tonight, and so did Alexander, and there were some girls in the room, and almost every girl stood up, gave him a kiss and a hug. And I was like, who's that guy? Why are you kissing him? What's going on here? No one answered me, so I was waiting for table topic session to see what's going on here with the guy. And I was actually very much impressed with his sense of humor and the way he prepared the table topic session. And I think his English is not his second language, right? So he does very good for having through even 4 languages, I don't know. And I really like the thing that he repeated all the participants with the topics, so he reminded us to who talked about what. Okay, and I would like to remind you to vote for the best table topic speaker if you haven't done it yet. Also, please vote for the meeting. Only table topic or only Toastmasters members are allowed to vote for the best, for the roles of the meeting, and everyone is allowed to vote for table topic session. Okay, and to do it ecological way, use QR codes, and if you are old school, you just do it, take the papers from here so you can vote. So now I would like to invite here my evaluation team, and first is timer. Ivan Samko. Okay, Romarian first. Vitaly.
Romarian?
Romarian.
Okay.
Please come to the stage. Romarian and the word master.
Huh?
You're a grammarian and the word master? Please give your
yeah,
report as a grammarian.
Yeah.
And the word master.
Guys, everything was perfect. I really had a pleasure of listening to all of you because you have a good command of English, like most of you guys. I was really impressed. But there was a few things I'd like to mention, which is mispronunciation. Dance, I guess I've heard dance. I think it's dance. Origin, that's incorrect. Correct is origin. And the schedule, I think I've heard the schedule. I think you're speaking about the schedule, right? I don't remember who. I don't remember who was that. Sorry. Then the words and phrases that are grammatically incorrect. I was finished the school. You better change it for I graduated from the school. Then few time. Better to say instead of that. Better to say short of time. Then more fast, of course, it's better to say faster. Then if you will, it doesn't exist, it's some kind of this grammatical stuff, I don't remember what is that. You cannot, after if, you cannot use the future, whatever is that. You should always use the present. So if you and just the verb, not if you will. Then fell in love in is incorrect, the correct one is fell in love with. If we would, and it's incorrect because you cannot. It's the same thing as aforementioned phrase. If we would, you cannot use this after we. You cannot use future. You should use past. Then poor constructions, strong weather. I think someone was talking about the severe climate or this kind of thing. I think that's the proper one. Then divide the garbage. I'm not sure about that. I think that divide. I think better use the sort out the garbage or this kind of thing. then less, and I don't remember the other word. Well, the person should have used, instead of less, the shorter. I think there was a shorter time or something, yeah, less. Sorry guys, don't remember, sorry, missed that one. Good level of language, I'm not sure about that. I'm sure about a good command of any language that you speak. And then instead of mark, better use the emphasize. That's what I noticed, guys.
Who is the winner of the word of the day?
I should have counted me. Sorry, I thought that there's a counter job. Sorry, guys. I think that was Christina.
Do your best.
Yeah, Christina, that was you. Yeah. Good. Every time you use it, I had a pleasure. Yeah, so that was Christina. According to my feeling, you know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you.
You should have just pretended that you counted and say, oh yeah, it's Christina.
Yeah, that's Christina. Actually, yeah, I did. I counted. That's Christina.
Thank you very much, Vitaly. I don't know why you asked for excuse so many times. I didn't learn grammarian. I stopped learning grammarian. You did good. Pretty good. Thank you very much. Thank you for your job.
Thank you, guys.
And I did mention Irina. Irina, thank you very much for your joke. It was cute. It was funny. Add some enthusiasm next time and vocal variety when you tell a joke, because you are the joke master many times. I know, just pretty often. And next I'm calling for a report is, I believe, timer? What's accounting? Yes.
Timer the last one. Timer every time
The
is the
last
last
one.
one.
Okay, accounting.
Fellow Toastmasters, members and guests, here is my report of a counter. Surprisingly, only prepared speakers used inappropriate words and sounds in their speeches. And Alexander, who is a table topics master, used about 10 long pauses in the speech. Alina Loginova, you used about 7 long pauses and words like so and well in your speech, but as it is your ice-breaking speech, I think that it's okay, it's normal. You will improve next time, I'm sure. Lina Drost, you used 5 or 7 long pauses in your speech. Elizaveta Cherkova, about 5 long pauses, and Anna Elena, great job, just 2 long pauses in your speech. And Alexander, about 10 pauses. All the other speakers didn't use any serious fillers or unnecessary sounds, even table topic speakers. That's all from my report. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you for taking the role, Ekaterina. Thank you for your report. One very big drawback to you: never, ever, ever criticize yourself, especially in front of the audience. Do you agree with
Yeah.
me? You start your presentation explaining why you are so bad. Never, ever do. Never. For yourself and for the audience. So the last but not least report is Tyler. Ivan Samko.
You guys were good. Almost no one over limit their time. Only 2 speakers who spoke too long. First of all, it's Lina, sorry. It was more than 1 minute and 20 seconds more than your time limit. Try to prepare exactly the time of your speech. And second is Sergey, who was an evaluator. He even overtimed Lina, and he spoke longer for 1 minute and 46 seconds. And the second interesting thing today is that the app which I tried to use on this meeting worked really good, and I think for speakers it also was noticeable and convenient. So I think it would be great to use this next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivan. You are ready for bigger roles. Take them. You're very good report. I think, did I miss anyone? I don't think.
Once again.
General version.
Well,
But what there's okay, good. Don't do not forget to vote. Use either ecological or old school way. And now I invite here in Svorova, the president of the meeting. She has something to say.
Thank you.